Up until recently, the HK419 had the pleasure of being the newest assault rifle added to BattleBit Remastered. While that crown has now been handed to the F2000, the recent changes made to the HK419 make it one of the strongest contenders in the game. But does it go as far as to be the best assault rifle in the game right now? G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we are doing a deep dive into the HK419 assault rifle. So folks, as we get through today's video, here's how it's going to be laid out. We're going to start off with a breakdown of the HK419's stats, as this will go a long way to informing the performance of the weapon. We'll then go over some analysis, talking to how good it is, and how you can make the most of it in-game with some tips and tricks. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some attachment options, going over what you need to do to make the weapon just that little bit better. Once again, a big thank you goes out to BattleBit community member Oxygen, whose tools and stat correlation has done a lot to inform these weapon reviews going forward. Also, a reminder that if you guys enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and come follow us over on Twitch for some live streaming action as well. It would be great to see you guys over there. But with all that said, let's get straight into today's review. Kicking things off as always with the damage profile here, and look, with the HK419, at first glance, we aren't greeted by anything too out of the ordinary here. That's not to say that the 31 maximum damage out to 52 meters and the 10.85 minimum damage out to 298 meters is anything to scoff at. It's just not exceptional. We've seen similar damage payloads plenty of times with weapons across the AR category, and it's a very serviceable damage profile for sure. We rock a healthy 4-shot kill to the body against unarmored targets, but unfortunately that dips to a 5-shot kill as soon as we hit normal armors and above. Unfortunately, we are sitting one measly damage point away from hitting that glorious 32 damage, which breaks that barrier in getting the normal armor's bullets to kill down. But more on that shortly. It's also worth pointing out that we don't see a dip in bullet to kill thresholds here until we hit the 141 meter mark, which is a nice spat of consistency going in favor of the HK419 here. But as we look a little bit deeper, we see that cheeky rate of fire of 825 rounds per minute, or 13.75 rounds per second. For context folks, the HK419's rate of fire used to sit at 640 rounds per minute, so we are talking a significant upgrade here that really amps just how much lead this thing is flinging down range. In fact, post-update, we are looking at the third fastest firing assault rifle in the category now, of which it holds the highest damage per shot of all of the faster firing ARs out there, like the FAMAS and the F2000. And let me tell you folks, that combination gives this thing a real presence on the battlefield. It really resonates with that of a screaming toddler to get there, kicking and having just the most insane tantrum you've ever seen, but man, it gets away with it because this particular combination just feels absolutely deadly at times. Taking a quick look at the headshots here, a headshot damage of 46.5 by default gets us down to a 3-shot kill against unarmored and normal armored targets. So, like most weapons that sport that 1.5 times headshot multiplier, there's some good incentive here. In fact, why don't we take a moment here to go over that incentive by taking a look at the time to kill. While the HK419's damage to rate of fire combination doesn't net at the top spot in BattleBit's time to kill registry, my god is it competitive as hell. Rocking a best case scenario time to kill of 218 milliseconds, this is edging towards the top end of town without completely overstepping the boundaries of balance. Even though we drop a bullet to kill threshold on normal armors in the game, we still see a sub 300 millisecond time to kill in close quarters, which is incredibly competitive, really giving the HK419 a place in the game as a competent and confident role as a more CQC dominant assault rifle. I've also got to take a moment to really highlight the headshot time to kill here as well. At that 52 meter mark, you are looking at a 145 millisecond time to kill against our friends rocking the normal helmet and below, and a 218 millisecond time to kill against players rocking all the way up to EXO. So, by going for those headshots with the HK419, you're either rewarded with a significantly improved time to kill by comparison to body shots, or a time to kill that at least matches the best case scenario of body shots. In other words, get that crosshair trained on the head for the best results. As always, I just want to be clear in mentioning that these time to kill stats are theoretical in nature. They assume that all bullets either hit the chest or the head area sequentially with 100% accuracy and no bullet travel time. Obviously, the further a target is from you, the less accurate you are likely to be, so just keep that in mind when looking at the time to kill stats here. Muzzle velocity wise, we're greeted by 700 meters per second, which is far from the best in class, which is held by the AUG, but it's also far from a bad velocity either. You'll have no issues in engaging moving targets at medium ranges here. This segues us on nicely to the handling here, which is where we start to see some of the HK419's quote-unquote skeletons in the closet that keeps this thing from being so overbearing on the field. Let's kick off with that recoil pattern, which is unironically sure as hell going to kick the shit out of you here. Rocking a 1.3 vertical kick and a 1.3 horizontal kick, it may not look like a lot on paper. I mean, a 1.3 vertical kick is actually the same recoil to what we had on the UMP45, and that felt like a dream to handle. So what's the deal here? Unfortunately, the HK419's greatest advantage is also its greatest weakness in this context. Due to how often the recoil is firing, we are greeted by a pretty troublesome recoil kick overall that is going to feel really unruly even in close to medium ranges. It's manageable with some practice and some skills, but I remember picking it up for the first time since the changes and quickly going, oof, that's a kick. Now thankfully with an accuracy of 77.50, we aren't really going to have too many problems with it in the CQC and medium range engagements if you can get that recoil control down pat. So a nice silver lining there. As far as our reload time is concerned, look, it's not the worst in the assault rifle category, but it's also not far off from it. A 3.9 second base reload time puts it on the pointy end of town, which means that while yes, the weapon hits like a truck, it depends on a bit of a breather to get itself back into action after, you know, doing its thing. The quick reload, when you drop the magazine entirely, is a sizable improvement and gets it down to 3.18 seconds, which is nice, but it's also far from ideal with a weapon with its aggressive tendencies, and don't even get us started on that 5.21 second long reload time. Magazine management is going to be very important with this one, doubly so given that we can improve the reload time on the weapon, but it comes at a pretty decent cost. But more on that shortly. Mobility wise, we have nothing out of the ordinary here for assault rifles, a 250 millisecond ADS time and a 1.0 times run speed, the baseline for the class if anything. So folks, that's the HK419 here, and there's no denying that this weapon has gone through a bit of a transformation since it came out. It's sort of lent on being this slightly heavier hitting M4 archetype since its release, but it never really committed to the role until now, and now it's probably one of the angriest assault rifles in the game, just from a sheer recoil perspective. It's definitely going to take unskilled shooters by quite the surprise, but that's not to say it isn't worth sticking with, because when you do, you are granted one of the better assault rifles in the game right now for aggressive play, in my opinion. I can't emphasize just how capable the weapon feels in that CQC domain, and is probably one of the assault rifles that I have felt overly comfortable running with in such a domain to use against SMGs. Especially when you throw in that 145 millisecond headshot time to kill, it's very easy for the HK419 to put its arms out and hold its own quite a bit. But that, of course, also demands some solid crosshair placement along with good recoil control. As we said before, unskilled shooters are going to be struggling with this weapon and the skill curve that it presents. But there is something to be said for bursting into a room and just completely eviscerating a bunch of SMG users before they can even react. It's music to my ears, quite frankly. I got a few rage reactions when I was using this weapon for sure. Another spot where the HK419's skill curve tends to make an appearance is definitely in managing those magazine and reload times as a result. While you are balls deep in the enemy front lines, you are going to face a ton of heat, and managing those downtimes is going to be a real chore. It's going to really come down to ensuring that you don't overcommit to engaging more than you can handle with the weapon, which is easy to do in the CQC domain, and also working on your accuracy with the weapon to squeeze more out of it per reload, and squeezing that efficiency here is really what takes the HK419 from zero to hero here. In addition, having an escape plan or just knowing the map well enough to have some ideas of where you can escape to as needed is going to be of utmost importance. Overall, the HK419 is a real menace, but it demands respect to make the most of it, and given it is unlocked fairly late on in the progression line, you can take some time learning the required skills to give it a true run for its money when you unlock it. Take your time with it, and you'll be greatly rewarded for your troubles. But alright, let's wrap up the video with some talk around attachment options here. We've got a bit of a decision to make here when it comes to how we're going to improve the HK419. For one, we are going to be putting the HK419 into some pretty intense, high-octane, close-quarters situations, and therefore building on that CQC prowess with some extra time to kill consistency and reload speed improvement would be great. But on the other hand, the handful recoil also warrants some attention to make the weapon a bit more consistent across all ranges. Now, me personally, I decided to to really build this weapon for CQC prowess in both the reload and damage departments, and that will be what you're seeing gameplay of throughout this video. But I will also give a quick highlight to a recommended anti-recoil build in this video here as well. But starting off with the aggressive build, if you will, we're going to be running the B25 URK and the quick aim mags here as per usual. Both of these help to bring that downtime down quite a lot and really helps the HK419's readiness in a lot of fights. Unfortunately, we do have to shave 4 bullets out of the magazine for this quick mag attachment, and that will need to factor into your decision making when using the weapon with this build. But in my view, I'd say the sacrifice is easily worth it here. On the barrel slot, we're going to be running the long barrel here. As the HK419 sports that 31 base damage, the long barrel gets it above the 32 damage barrier. This doesn't get it down to a 3-shot kill, but it does get the medium armor kills down to a 4-shot kill and improves the consistency of headshots against even heavy helmets. It may not sound like a lot, but I promise it very much is, especially if you end up coming across multiple targets at once. That 1 bullet to kill could very well save your life. Sight and side rail wise, we're going to be rocking the stock standards here for me. Laser and the 1x sight of your choosing, because the CQC domain is where we'll be the whole time with the HK419. And that's my more aggressive build here, folks. For a more conservative counter recoil focused build, I would recommend replacing the barrel and the underbarrel slots to the compensator and the SC5 grip respectively, as this combination does a lot to address the recoil on all fronts and produces a relatively stable firing platform, all things considered. It's not going to do the work for you, but it will get you a step in the right direction. The rest of the attachments that we covered earlier remain as is. And folks, with all of that said, that is going to wrap up today's video talking about the HK419 assault rifle. I think this thing is in a very strong position in the game right now, one of the best assault rifles in the game easily. And if you're looking for something hyper aggressive to use that will get the job done, this is definitely the tool for the job. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to backhand the like button, as it does go a long way to supporting the channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing whilst you're at it, guys, to stay up to date with all future content that we release. As always, folks, you can find my social media links, including my Twitch channel, in the description down below. Highly recommend you come check us out there as well. And once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.